one more gentleman to welcome to stage, Mr. Nick Sampson of Faraday Future. He is the perfect person to conclude our segment because Faraday, as many of you know, is seeking to transform the industry, and they won't tell us what or how. So with that, Nick Sampson. So Nick, welcome. Good to see you. So there's a lot of buzz about your company. I did my pre-session research and really didn't find much except that there's a lot of buzz, right? And that's on purpose, right? You're in stealth mode. So I was told by the people who helped to prepare me that you're not going to share what Faraday is building. You're not going to share any details. So I get that. But Nick, can you share some details? Okay, all right.
Yeah, everybody who's been on this stage this afternoon has shared all our details already, because I've heard so many words said today. I've heard clean, I've heard smart, I've heard intelligent, I've heard connected, I've heard ecosystems. That's what we're doing. We're delivering all of that in a new and innovative way that's going to change people's lives. Somebody else has been talking about how the world is changing. The one constant we have in the world is that it's always changing. And we have to be ready for that change. We have to adapt to that change. People today are wanting things in a way differently to they've ever wanted them before. The internet, the connectivity is changing our lives. As I think you mentioned earlier, and as one of the others mentioned earlier, young kids today, they're going to grow up different. They may never own or drive a car.
And never care whether they own or drive a car.
That's right, and that's what we're here to deliver.
So what is one significant change in consumer expectations? What you're really talking about is a constant shift in consumer expectations. What's a significant change that you at Faraday are building toward, or seeing happen, anticipating in the marketplace?
Well, I think it's not so much seeing that change, it's seeing how we can deliver that, and differently to anybody else, because you asked the guy from BMW about a clean sheet of paper. The thing that we've got is lots of clean sheets of paper.
Right.
We've got a clean sheet of paper in the way we develop and create the company. We've got a clean sheet of paper in the products that we produce. We've got a clean sheet of paper in the business models that we run. We have no preconceived ideas, no predispositions of how we must do this. We can start completely afresh in every area.
Well, let's talk about that we. I and my colleagues spend a lot of time trying to understand what makes ventures successful. Could be startups, could be ventures at established companies. Doesn't matter. One thing you hear over and over again is it's about the team. So who are the people that are doing this? No matter how good you think your idea is, as soon as it gets to market, it's going to change. You're going to learn new things. You have to shift. In the industry, they call it pivot now. Tell us about the team, because it's pretty exciting what you're building.
Yeah, well, we've got some certain key members of the team, but it's not just only about the individuals, the specific names we could mention, but it's about where they've come from. We're not just drawing from one industry, we're drawing from multiple industries. We're drawing from the automotive industry, we're drawing from the IT industry, we're drawing from the technology industries, we're aerospace industries, because all these different industries have something to offer and give us that can enable us to create something completely new, unique and different, not just in the product, but in the way we deliver it.
Right, and that must be exciting and motivating. You bring somebody in who's been in an industry for a lot of their career and they're in a totally new space. Can you think of an example of something unexpected happening in the journey with Faraday so far? And I know it hasn't been very long, but something that you just didn't expect.
It hasn't been, I'll just answer part of that there, it hasn't been very long, but it hasn't been very long in conventional terms. We've only been going about 15 months. 15 months ago was the very first time we kicked off this adventure. But 15 months at Faraday is like 15 years in any other organisation. We have developed so much so quickly.
You live in dog years, basically.
Yeah, in a way, yes.
Okay, great.
And so we're developing things and bringing people in from those different industries. It may be somebody from a medical devices industry could come up with a much better way of packaging a new battery system. Or it may be somebody from the aerospace industry develops a piece of body structure that's done differently to how the automotive industry have ever done it before. So we're able to do this in a way that's more creative and break some of the existing boundaries.
That's great. It's similar to what Mike was talking about at Flex as well, the ability to transfer and translate.
Yes, and that's one of the other big things with the business case and the business model. It's not just ownership may change, so we may be not just selling cars. We're not interested in customers. We're interested in users. How many people we actually get utilising the vehicles? How many people we engage with and giving them a better and different experience.
And then somehow figuring out how to monetize that over time in various business models and market structure.
Exactly. I mean, I think, as it was already mentioned, the traditional model for the car industry is a hardware model.
Yeah.
And so once that hardware is for the car industry, once the car's off the lot, then the relationship has gone away until you hope the car comes back in 5 years' time. Right. But that's got to change, and that's changed in many other industries. That it's not getting the product out there that matters, it's what happens to it after it's out there. How you monetize events, whether that's through content, whether that's through the monetizing of the big data that's behind what that object or what those people are doing. There's lots of other ways of creating the business cases moving forward. And that's what will revolutionize the industry.
Great. So being out at a place like New Mobility World and telling your story, telling the Faraday story, being with people from around the world, different industries and contexts, they don't know what you're up to. They know the contours of what you're up to. They know the vision, a little bit about the vision, but why would someone come to you? What would they be coming to talk about, to engage with?
Well, I guess there's different sorts of people. There's people that would be looking to come to talk to us if they're interested in being a supplier to what we're doing, or whether they look to be ultimately at some point in the future a user. I mean, already we're talking to some of the biggest and best suppliers in the world, and that again is across multiple industries. So not just talking to people who are typical of the automotive industry, but people from the consumer electronics worlds, because like I think was also mentioned earlier, cars when they come out almost out of date because the car development times are so long that you have a 5-year cycle and you bring that car out and the electronics that it's got in, the user experience that it's got is several years behind. And what are people doing? They're getting the phone out of their pocket and using that instead, because actually that's delivering something better than many of the cars are today. And being connected isn't really just going to help that, it needs much more than that.
Right. So as we come down to the end of the segment, I want to ask you, like I did early on today with another group, what you're doing must be extraordinarily exciting and motivating. The opportunity to get up every day and create something from scratch in an environment that's changing this rapidly. I'd like you to come up with 1 or 2 words to describe what you believe the journey will be like for you personally over the next decade. And while you think about it, I want to give you my card, because whenever you are ready to take a down payment on whatever the crazy thing is you're developing, I want to be on that wait list.
Well, the 2 words are very easy, and thank you for that. We've already got, you won't be at the top of the list already. We've already taken a few people who have...
100 or 2 down is fine.
But 2 words come very easily. I mean, I think several of the other people already had one of these, and that's excited. I don't think anybody can be in this world of new mobility without being excited. And I thought before today, the second word I was going to use, I was already pretty high on. But I think after listening to all the speakers today and hearing the general consensus of everything that's going on, confident is the next thing, because this is going to happen.
Great. Thanks a lot, Nick.
Thank you.
Very exciting. We'll be interested to see what happens at Faraday. And by the way, as we conclude, an interesting observation, the 3 words you used, we heard them earlier, clean, smart, intelligent. Those were actually 3 words that my mother told me that young ladies were looking for. I don't know if that was true, but in any case, maybe there's a relationship.